The Hebrew text in the Bible has hidden formats. By revealing these formats, I will prove the first writer's words were hidden from you. These formats look like poetry as I group them into small paragraphs. Their grouping will become known as a psalm, and together they become psalms. Let me show you our Creator's 12 commandments, listed in Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Any father of a family or his wife who did not obey any one of these 12 commandments, our Creator demanded they bring him a sin offering. Thus, our Creator defined the word sin as not obeying any one of these 12 commandments. Next, I want to show you how I changed one word in Exodus 26, verse 26, the word bars to arches, and the words now reveal the style of the roof for our Creator's tent for meeting with Him. Let me show you the translator's words from the preface of the 1611 King James Bible. They gave 4 reasons for themselves or others to edit the Bible's words. The red arrow at the top points to their 3rd reason to edit the text. By the light and feeling we attained unto ourselves. The next red arrow down points to them giving the title, the Divine, to a clerk named Gregory. The next block of words, they point out they were happy that the first emperor of Rome established the year to the course of the sun. Behind this text means Nebuchadnezzar ordered his kingdom to follow our Creator's calendar when he stopped eating grass. Did you notice the letter S in sun is capitalized? This is to give respect to the Egyptian sun god Ra. Have you seen the Egyptian obelisk in the Vatican's front yard? The last arrow points to your reward for studying the Bible. Your reward is to have a fellowship with the saints and participation of a heavenly nature that will never fade away. There is no such thing as nature to a truthful Christian. Our Creator created everything. By their own words, they were not seeking to know our Creator or Jesus. Not everyone has the knowledge to correct every word. I have an old Bible program that has the New American Standard Bible 1977 concordance to help find a better word. Their concordance has the number of times they use that English word in a parenthesis for that Hebrew word. The translators removed his name, YHVH, to put in 2 titles, Lord and God. I replaced those titles using the letters Y and V as his name, for the Hebrew language does not have a J, O, or W. By using these 2 letters, I am closer to the truth than anyone using J, O, or W for his name. So why is there a single letter O in the Hebrew text 1,095 times? No proper English was used? The blue highlighted text is text that I am removing. The red highlighted words are little words that I'm adding. Gray italic words are words that I added. To respect and honor our Creator, all capital letters in purple are our Creator's words. This is Jesus' prophecy, for I am revealing the first writer's words to tell you the true truths about Jesus. As the text is revealed, you can taste the writer's style of wording. Their words will take your belief to trusting our Creator. You will be watching prophecy before your eyes as I edit true truths back into their psalms. This will be Psalms 106. And sorry I had a late start today. This is going to be a very long one, so what I've already done is kind of divided the sentences up because I didn't think you just wanted to hear me mumble for the first 20 minutes. It's a real long one, but I'm hoping I can get it done within 5 hours. And first of all, I want to explain this word right here. This is Jesus's name in the Hebrew language. For example, you know that they were supposed to wait for Jesus. And here's an example of his name being written in Isaiah 38, chapter 38, verse 11. This is Hezekiah, the king of Judah. He was king. If you know about him, he was the one that was given 15 more years of life. And here he's talking about, I said I will not see Yah in the land of the living. So this definitely was the word that they went by, talking about Jesus. It's also written in Psalms 149, the same, a little bit different, but kind of the same. And that is, if I put his name in here, because you can see they used all capital letters for his name, praise Yah, and then his praise in the congregation, rejoice in our King, not their King, our King, praise his name. His name is Yah, praise Yah. So these are quick examples that shows and proves that they had a name for Jesus. Now, Strong's will spell it with 2 H's. I'm using the New American Standard Concordance, so it shows up as just with 1 H. What they did was change a lot of the lettering to own the copyrights to the Strong's Concordance to line up with their text. So what I'm going to do is just say, try to put them in groups a little bit better and maybe start editing them right off the bat here. Praise Yah and give thanks. Praise Yah by. No, praise Yah and give thanks to Yahweh, for his kindness is forever. And you can see I don't need this. He is good. Our Creator is good. Like I said, there's a lot of corruption in the text, and that's what I'm removing. And hopefully this tells me that there's a 3-verse format going on, and I can see 3 here. So I would like to add some words here. We are to praise Yah and give thanks. I think that's what I'm hoping the creator, I'm hoping that's the writer's words. So it's a little odd starting that way, because usually this is the statement and then these two connect together. It almost sounds like this verse here should go below this verse, but maybe I'll do that when I start reading and starting getting more of an understanding of the text. The more I understand the writer's style, that will determine on how, whether that verse gets put in another place or not, or if it's still going to be Yah. So, who can speak of the mighty deeds of Yah? Who can speak of the mighty deeds of Yah, or can show forth all his praise? Who can speak of the mighty deeds of Yah? It's not the word who, it's we speak. I'm pretty sure that's the truth of that sentence. Who can? It's they can. So we speak. We speak of Let me take a look at mighty deeds. This sounds like it's going to be two Hebrew words exactly, and they put two together. Notice how they got axe, strength, power, power or axe, might. That would relate to power. We speak of his power, or who can show forth all his praise. We speak of his mightiness. That's just really odd. So I'll just highlight it like this because I'm not sure how that's going to get cut or even edited, or who can show forth all his praise. Need to go back here and look for show forth. Okay, so the word all is this way, and so who can show, heard, listen is used a lot. Heard and listened. Those seem to be the two strongest words used a lot. Fourth is going to be just removed because that's a completely added word, most likely by the 1611 translators. We speak of his mightiness for us. And if this is cleaned, then it's this. I added this, and this, and this was added. And then how does this connect with anything here? Because the word show was used only how many times? Once. So we know that that isn't the correct word here. All right. So if I change the word show to heard, if I change it to heard or listen, speak of his mightiness for us. And I would say listen is the better of the two words right now in my mind. And these can't be true. So let me take a look over here in the concordance here. Where is it? Or can, and those were added words as well. Sorry, I didn't tap hard enough on the screen to bring you back here. So what I did was I brought the deeds of Livy here and then added the word listen here and got rid of these words. If the word is deeds, it could be the word act or acts. So, no, that's the one that has two words together. Okay, now if I'm using it as mightiness, we speak of his mightiness, the mightiness of Yah, or YV, excuse me. This has to be removed. It's just not connecting. listen. I would not say the word is all, but I would say everyone. And I've shown that word so many times that it can be used as everyone. I'm not going to go to the text and show that. Listen, everyone. Blessed are and you know what I'm seeing here? I'm seeing that this actually should have been broke this way. For his love kindness is everlasting, and we speak of his mightiness for us. For we speak of his mightiness. Maybe it doesn't. I'm still trying to find the format here. Listen, everyone. Blessed, because this seems to want to hook together. Blessed is those. How come what is the word those? Oh, it wasn't added or was added. So what is the next word? Keep. I can see keep is used 159 in other ways as well. So I'm just trying to figure out, blessed are we who keep. Blessed are those. Listen, everyone. Blessed are the keepers. I'm just trying this to see what my mind does this. I just I'm trying to figure out the words here. Blessed are the keepers of his if I get rid of the word blessed and then go down here and the keepers of his and I don't think it would be justice. Keepers of his judgments for us. Judgments is used 62 times. Justice, ordinances, that's not going to be it, but it's going to be just judgment. Going to use judgment. Judgments. The keeper of his judgments. I could use the word commandments to be more truthful than this word. And that's because the 12 commandments are the binding agreement for forgiveness. And then forgiveness you need to enter into heaven. The keepers of his commandments. Listen, everyone, the keepers of his commandments. Yeah, I'm going to have to use commandments. I just got to be truthful when I'm saying these things. So I'm going to say that I added that word. The keepers of his commandments. Live by, not practice. What is it here? Practice. Are committed to righteousness. Do righteousness. Do, does, do. Wow, 330 times. Oh, I see 360 times here where made. Make. Okay. I'm going to take a screenshot of that just to, because it has the title maker here. So, not sure if I have this word here used as maker yet in the collection. So, what do I use? Do I use do? Well, let me take a look here. The keepers of commandments. Righteousness means to be very obedient to our Creator. Once you're very righteous, it's your honor to speak about our Creator. But it's the highest word after being obedient. You're obedient to Him, your righteousness, or you're righteous. Depends on how the word is being used. Do righteousness at all times. I guess if I put the word do in here would be okay. Do righteousness at all times. And now I've got a 4 verse. And that's what I've been trying to look for. Something that actually I can say that yes, that would tie together. I'm seeing this verse is in this verse together. Then this verse needs to be the start of this verse. And I'd have towards and put this word. And we are to praise Yah and speak of his mightiness for us. I just need the word and here. See how that flows together now, reading better and more correct. Oops, it's comma, then a period. So I have my first text that needs to be moved here. Move down 2 verses. 2 verses. And then copy that, put it here, moved. And I can put the word here. And then I just make this all 8 point. And there is the first a 4 verse and a 4 verse. So now how do I find, now I'm going to try to really look for 4 verses unless it just can't be done. Remember, YV, your favor towards his people. His people. His people. Your favor, it's not a favor, it's his promise or his prophecy. This all doesn't make sense. Although when I click on the word toward, it's not really there. So this word would be out. So would this word. Your remember them. And I'm putting it in a forward position because they haven't seen Yah and they're supposed to be waiting for him. So I'm going to use the word them here real quick. Remember them, YV. If it's remember them, YV, comma, as people. Salvation is from our Creator. It's tied to Jesus, so I know that word's now right. It's not your salvation. So remember them, YV, and your promise to his people. Let him visit them for their salvation, or for our salvation. But still, that's only a 3 verse. So now what do I got to work with? That I see the prosperity of your chosen ones. that I rejoice in your gladness. I rejoice that I glory with. That doesn't read right. Shouldn't have ate too much food here. I'm starting to want to sleep. Now this is, we have sinned like our forefathers and committed iniquity. We have behaved wickedly, or iniquity, wickedly, like our forefathers in Egypt. That doesn't make sense either. He took them as a nation. There was no sin at that time because our Creator didn't define what sin is until He said, if you didn't obey any of the 12 commandments, that you are to bring a sin offering. So there's only 12 sins after the fact that He assigned the 12 commandments as needing to be atoned for not obeying any of those 12. Bring a sin offering. So if I get rid of this word, because I know that's wrong, like, but it's not, it did not stand your wonders. These are plagues. These are plagues. I've done this so many times, it's automatic. But this, because you're talking about Egypt, you're talking about his wonders, they were plagues. Miracles were opening up the ground, parting of the Red Sea, parting of the Jordan River. Those were miracles. When it says, did not believe your plagues, not understand them, but believe. And they didn't, because that's why that was an argument among them when they came out of Egypt. And that's why you have to say the plagues came 4 to 6 weeks in between something happening. So, example, locusts would have been common. Swarms of bugs was, how can that, because they didn't think it was throughout all Egypt, okay? So, understand, but or believe, I know I'm going to be adding that. So, did our forefathers from Egypt, or from Egypt? And it's not all of them didn't, some of them didn't. So this needs more above here as the word to say some of our forefathers, to be truthful, did not believe your plagues. But that would make it a 2-verse. Unlike unlike some of our forefathers. There's where that is at. Some of our forefathers, they didn't commit iniquity. They how do I say how they behaved rebellious. Let's see if wicked is tied to the word rebellious. No. Notice it's two words though together. So, anyways, if I come down here and look at this text and study it a little bit more, I want to say they behaved rebellious. And then I already have forefathers here. But this is what they'd done. They had to be rebellious. I can't believe I spelled that right. That doesn't even look right. Yeah, there it is. They rebelled. Let me just use that word. They rebelled unlike some of our forefathers. They boy, they did, boy. It's Bill. Okay, this was two words together, so they rebelled to be rebellious. Our forefathers from Egypt. It would have to just be for they did not believe your plagues. And that is part of the true story, but this here is out. They wicked. Is it within the shadow of that word? Yes, I guess I can say that. Now that we have rebelled there, rejected and rebelled you. Rejected then rebelled. Whoops. They rejected and then rebelled, for they did not believe your plagues. Now that's the true statement. unlike some of our forefathers. It would be who here then, who rejected and then rebelled, because this is now a 3-verse statement, because that's what a 3-verse does. 3-verse does a statement and then tells you what they did, or defines what these words here are meaning. So now I have a 3-verse stuck here in the middle. And then that is a 3-verse here then. Remember them, Wivey, in your favor, his, and favored them. Remember them, Wivey, and favor them, and favor his people. So that being italic, and I didn't italic this one here, that one means that that word was added at that time. That's just a side note for me. I guess I want to make sure that's corrected and noted. Remember the mighty, favor his people. And I guess I'll use the word favor, his people. For him to visit for their salvation. Of this oh, Brad, forgot what I was doing. That was, well, I need this word for him, so that means I was adding it. For him to visit, for their salvation. Boy, that's a 3-verse though. Of your chosen one, rejoice with gladness. Wow, there's so much. How do I see the prosperity? That isn't how. No, when you understand all the text, Jesus wasn't supposed to give them prosperity. He was supposed to be their king who comes into Jerusalem. But they wasn't going to give him prosperity. They knew him as a savior to enter into heaven. That these are our creators, chosen ones, are usually our creators coming out of Egypt. Those were the chosen ones that he decided that he's going to start with. That's why it's given the words chosen ones. And I'd have to say that's the correct word here. And this would be out. This would be out. And this has to go with the next verse here. This will be out. Your chosen ones to rejoice with gladness. Glory wouldn't be needed. Oh, that they may see. Because now that I've got 2 verse and a 4 verse in here, what does this text tell me? I don't know. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and show you what I've got so far. I know I should have, I didn't think I went that far. But there's a lot of verses in this one. So I want to at least show you some cleanup here early to show you how in the format it can be found. Oh man. And this didn't work. Somehow I got to figure out what's going on, why it doesn't work, and sometimes it works. And this is the 3 verse format. Unlike some of the forefathers. The word unlike now doesn't make sense here by itself, so if I get rid of these 2 for sure, get rid of that altogether. Some of our forefathers who rejected and rebelled, for they did not believe your plagues. But it's a 3 verse, and you can see this is starting to be a 4 verse. This is definitely a 3 verse. This is a 4 verse. This is a 4 verse. Wow. Okay, well, I am really disappointed in myself today. I have, I am really, my eyes are wanting to close and fall asleep and take a nap. Now, I know I worked this morning pretty hard, but um, then ate. So I know my stomach usually, and I thought I was active for at least a half hour before that. So before I started streaming, but I'm going to uh, have to stop today. This is not good. I can't think straight, and my mind's not grabbing it right. I know I'm getting this format started, but I hate doing this. Drinking more of this. But maybe that's what'll help me wake up. Is usually I just need a small swallow of that stuff because it lasts for so long. And I tried doing them at like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I'm up until 12:30. For an old guy, that's not good. Okay, let me continue here because it's just, I'm sorry to mumble, but I'm thinking while I'm doing this, trying to remember the text above. What is 3 verse? What's 4 verse? How do these go together? They did not remember your abundant kindness, but rebelled by the sea at the Red Sea. That's not really true. They didn't do that by the Red Sea. They rebelled after the Red Sea, so you wouldn't even use the word rebelled at the sea, at the Red Sea. So let's get rid of that text. They did not remember your abundant kindness. Well, that happened so early. And besides, he was still showing himself as a pillar of cloud and a like fire from the cloud at night to give light to them. So they were still disobedient, but the object is that's all up here, so why say it there again? So anytime when it's really got a double of the double, I'm just, no, the story is supposed to keep flowing. Now, when this is talking with these words, Moses spoke with our Creator about these men coming and not wanting Moses and Aaron to lead them as his highest priest and uh, Moses as his highest judge. Didn't want them. So when he talked to our Creator said he's going to kill them all. And then it was kind of like, okay, then Moses says something like, well, then the Egyptians are going to say you just took them out there to kill them all. So this is what it's being saved. Nevertheless, he saved them for the sake of his name, that he might make known his power, make that he might. The word might is not true then. He does that wouldn't have existed. That's just a stupid word, that he makes known his power. That's put in the wrong order. Thus he rebuked the Red Sea and dried up to the depths, as through when he led them through the deep. not a wilderness. A wilderness, you got to understand what a wilderness is between the desert and then greenish forestry. There's the shrubberies of small plots of grass, trees that are half dead, bark is missing, sand, and then there's this, and I don't know if it's like a half a mile wide like that, but that's what the wilderness is. But the deep as a desert, he led them through, and the deep, and the deep, and if it was like a desert, if I'm changing that word, I might as well keep going and say it was dry. Okay, so it was dry. It was, and the deep was, now if it was dry, if it was like a desert, that means it's sandy. They can't bring their carts through. So it has to be, the word desert won't be right. Dried, the deep was dried. I guess finally got the word correctly here. And actually, I gotta make it as, I added that word because that just doesn't, wilderness is not gonna go right to dried. And the deep was dried. Now that becomes the truth on that verse. And he led them through, and he didn't rebuke it, he divided. So, whoops, wrong size. He divided not rebuked, but I'm going to say it's within the shadow of the word. He rebuked the sea, and I got dried down here farther, so he divided the sea and led them through, and the deep was dried. He divided the sea. But if I go up here and say, and dried up, if I go up here and use this here, and instead of using the word it, if I use the word land, dried up. So what I wanted to explain right now is how they viewed what they seen and how they would use their words. When you look out and you see the surface, they call that the land. Underneath it was ground. So underneath the river, there would have land. So I'm not using the word land wrong here. That's how they would use it. And to replace the word it with the correct word, I hate it when I hit the key thing and it starts going to start tracking crap. And and the land. And the land dried up. And I really would put a hyphen here. And he led them through. For the deep was like a wilderness, meaning that it was partly sand and not, and it showed the greenness of the depths of the ocean. Maybe I've got this all wrong. Maybe it's like a wilderness. And then I did all that wrong. I hate this. If I use the wilderness, then it does mean partly ground and partly not. Was like the wilderness. And I will just get rid of that there, and I will say I put it over here. Oops. The wilderness, and I'm using this, I'm putting this word. And the deep was like the wilderness. Wow. That was some digging. But that is a 4 verse. I just had to figure out what the wilderness was. Yeah, that's the way it works here. My little mind just starts, and then all of a sudden it's there. So, in this, I don't know if that's, this is not reading in order, as you can tell. Let me see. Let me try working back here on 8 again. Nevertheless, see, it's not even there. So if I get rid of that word, then it's he. He didn't save them. He didn't kill him for his namesake. I just got done telling you that. So he did not. And this is, I'm going to add these words because when I'm adding words like this, it means that, yes, I got to get rid of this word, but I can't replace it with that word. But he did not kill them. And that I know I have to add. But the object here is what I'm trying to get to is say this has to be one verse, and then these 2 words would start with the second one. And I'm using these as major words, such as you see 2 words, sake, name, divide, red, land, dried up, led through, deep wilderness. That's, these 2 verses make a sentence when you look for the shortest verse, because there's so much knowledge in some of these. And you've heard me try to explain like what one word would mean to start explaining the other words around it. So he did not kill them for the sake of his name. That would have been what Moses would have argued. So that for the sake of his name. I don't know if that's the right word. Sake? for the purpose of his name. On behalf of his name. On his behalf of the name. I'm thinking that would be a good word to be used here. Or on account of his name. The word sake, how does the secular world visit or use the word sake? Oh, it's sake, like for what? That's funny. The Asian people drink wine or rice wine, and it's just wine that's been fermented for like I think 2 weeks or something, and they're using it as sake that way. That's funny. Own good. Own good. For the sake of his name. On account of his name. I'll leave it sake right now. And not might, but and. I can't use this word, I can't use this word. This is not enough. So, and make, this would be our creator, and make his but this is not right. Power is being used wrong here. Power known. And make his power and make his wonders remembered and known. Now remember, they're already out in the Sinai, not anything below. And what does it say above here? Rejected and rebelled. He did not kill them. Okay, that's going to connect. Those are going to connect. But it's a 3 verse, and then a 3 verse, and then a 4 verse. So the 3 verse, I can't connect to that. So this means he did not kill them, period. For the sake of his name and to make himself known. I like that. And get rid of the power. Then you have to say himself known. And then all of a sudden I'm adding I'm looking to see if I can make this a 4 verse. Maybe I've got something here as a 4 verse. Well, no. But I'm going to have to use the word himself known. But it's almost like I'm using those 2 words and then these two would have to be the rest of a 4-verse, but I'm going to leave it as a 3-verse with those 3 words in there. That's just the way it is. I can't start. I really try not to put my own influence on the words. I try to tell you what I know and then explain how the other words connect to that word. Okay. He dried up the land. No. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. The waters were covered. Okay. So it was to save them from their king. The one to save them from the Egyptians. For the king hated them, and he didn't redeem. The word delivered, when you from battle, or that's how I'm tying the word battle, would be to deliver them in battle. Redeemed means to be brought, your soul to be brought out of the abyss. So I don't like using words to mean 2 or 3 different things. I'm really trying to cut that out of the text. So when you speak of the word redeemed, you always speaking as of the importance of understanding that you know the abyss, you know our Creator's promise to be redeemed. So this has to be delivered. To delivered. And this is, and it was our Creator doing this. So to deliver he saved them from his army. If I put his army here, then I can put and is actually army, because they come out with chariots, and then because the chariots move faster, the men who marched were behind them and would have caught up later. So the chariots chased them, knew that they were corners, so they got ahead there. And the hand is pretty much, okay, don't, gotta do it like that. I have to add the word army. From his army. Save them from his army. From the king. I guess I could replace the word one. Well, who would be better? King. King. This I don't need. This I don't need. This I added. This I added. From for the king hated him, from his army, and from the king who hated them. So if I put the word king here, and get rid of it here, and I'm going to say I'm going to use this word, which is an added word in the coordinates. And then if I say this is a period, then it has to be he saved them from his army and from the king. Would you write it that way? Would you write it from the army? Because then it says they got caught ahead, and this is telling me, when I'm reading it like this, it's telling me the story that I know. Why would he not be leading them? And it's telling me that they're the horsemen saved him from the horsemen, and then the chariot, the king came with his chariot later. He saved them from his horsemen, not an army. Horsemen. And from the king who hated them. That would be better. Oh, this is going to be a 4-verse. This is definitely a 4-verse. I got that verse. The one down below needs to be brought up. This one needs to be brought up. And delivered them from their enemy. From their enemy by the waters covering them. By, whoops, the is there. Don't need that. I'm adding that. I'm getting better at this. By the water covering them. Now that sounds like the story I know. And now that is a good 4-verse. Now, I'm just going to go down here to see what I've got. Because I forgot to put a dividing line in to say I got to 7. So this I done. This here I haven't done. So let me take this text now that I've got. Oh, it's only a couple, but these are both 4-verse. So I guess I don't need to. Well, let me put in the marker here. And what you can see is what I've got here as a 3-verse, and then I've got 4-verse. So, but I know this is part of the story, so it's kind of like maybe I've got to find a 4th verse. Does it go at the top or does it go at the bottom? I hate that. Ooh, wow. And this I don't need, because I'm trying to make 4 verses. So that would be like a 5th verse. And not one of them was left. And then they believed his words. Now, this would have been those that have been swallowed up when he opened up the land. Not one of them was left. And then everybody else started like, yeah, okay, Moses and Aaron, you guys are talking to our creator. Yes, we agree this all of a sudden. So I can see that this swallowing up of the land was to really have them make himself known to them as a nation now, because they were only being told by their leaders. And it was hearsay about the plagues that our Creator was causing that for them. And the first shock would have been that when they were all starting to leave, that they were giving them articles of silver and gold, like, yeah, get out of here. Then they knew that the Passover meal that they ate to save their sons was true. But then the bad guys kind of convinced them, even after walking through the water, that I don't know how people's minds got changed back and forth, but that let me see something here, because I'm not sure. Did I read it? Yeah, there's that guy's name right here. And this guy was with him. So, see, the earth opened up and swallowed and engulfed the company of Abraham. And not one of them was left, okay? And then they believed their words. It was like this verse here is going to connect with the text down here. Now, this is wild. These two verses, and I don't think they would have sang his praise right off the bat, so this pretty much is going to be out. They wouldn't have sang his praises right then. They would have kind of like, what just went on? And everybody's starting to gossip and talk and spreading the word. So, and then but this here, these two here, definitely the earth opened and swallowed up Dan. This is a double of the word, so that's not true. The earth opened and swallowed. I don't need the word up. But I can add that to the dictionary and add this to the dictionary, but I don't think I'm going to. Danath and his company. I think Danath was the leader. His company, his group is what I'm going to say. I'm thinking if I do this, get rid of this. So Danath and his, let's see what the word company here is. I'm pretty sure it means a group. So congregation is a little bit larger than a group, but it means a herd. Assembly. That's a good word. Because they assembled against him. So the earth opened up and swallowed Danath and his assembled. I guess if I leave it company, that's fine. Now, if it's a 4-verse, I need these two here words here. Okay, now that is something. Okay, you just seen it. And I was looking for it, and there it was. And then all of a sudden, these are move 2 verses down. So these two from here get the 8 point now, and then they get moved down here, so I can go here and add the word moved 2 verses here, because I think I've already done one move. So let me do this in yellow this time, and then go up here for yellow. And that way it's easier to track them if I line up the yellows. Yellow, yellow. Okay, now that this verse is done, I get a kick out of this. You know, they covered it up 2,700 years ago, at least 2,400 years ago. But the object is when you know the story, it just comes together when you're saying, well, if this means this, because you've seen how I got rid of the text, and then I thought, and then they believed his words. Then I kind of like, okay, then that means that they got swallowed up, that there was none of them left. And then I went down and found it. And look at that. The earth opened and swallowed Daneth and his company, and not one of them was left. Then they believed his words. And this would be Moses's words. Okay? So that's not our creator's words. But that is, I love this. I love finding things that have absolutely truthful understandings of what happened so long ago. So let me now take these here that I was going to do before, because this needs to come down here and just show everybody what's going on here. So that was my edit. Yeah, there it worked. I don't know why it works sometimes and sometimes it don't. Okay. This is, and some are, oh, that's a 3 verse. And this is the first. Did not believe his plagues. And he did not kill them for the sake of his name, to make himself known. See how those work together? I mean, those two connect together. But then all of a sudden, it's after the fact. The stuff here happened later. So he divided the sea, and the land dried up, and he led them through, and the deep was like the wilderness. Now that to me is cool right there. That is really cool. Now you know what the ground looked like when they walked through. That's stunning. You can speculate it, but there it is. That's what come out in the hidden formats. That's a visual given to you by them. And I have to add the word like, because we know what's on the ground underneath there. So, in fact, I don't know what it looks like down there. Maybe it's all just barren. And if it is barren, then I have to change it like a desert. Or like just, well, it's like dried land dried. And the deep was like the desert. Okay, I'm going to put the word desert in here. This is just, no, I would like to know what the bottom looked like, but I'm thinking, I don't know how deep this water is. Because after a certain time, because light doesn't get down, it doesn't grow. But the beginning of it, the end of it would have been. So maybe I'll leave the wilderness and be able to say at the beginning it was like that, and at the end it was like that. So there, I took myself back out of it. But anyways, he saved them from his horsemen and from the king who hated him. Now you know the horsemen came first, and then the king caught up later and delivered them from their army, which is new knowledge to me that this happened this way. So, and they delivered them from their enemy, and he delivered them from their enemy by the water covering them. Very cool stuff. Very cool. Very cool. All cleaned up. Looks better that way. So now, okay. And I can say that next time I need to start from here to grab the text. Okay. Maybe that shot of Wake Me Up did it. They quickly forgot his works, and they did not wait for his counsel. Oh. Now this is the calf that they made. They quickly forgot his works, and they did not wait for Moses. Okay, not counsel, but they did not wait for Moses. They carved intensely in the desert and tempted God in the desert. Okay, so, and they made a calf. So where is that? If it's down, where is it? Okay, right here. Here's what I know is going to happen. So these words have got to start down here. When they became envious of Moses and Aaron, the holy ones, which I guess if you're this would be what I was telling you about the story. Now this text is showing up. I was telling you why the earth opened up. When they become envious. And who become envious is these guys, Danath and Abram. There was no wasting disease. That story is not true. So when they became envious of Moses and Aaron, yeah, if I just put a period here and put a comma here, and then put a period here, and he didn't give them their request. They tempted YV. This would not be. No, they're already in the desert. We know that. They're in the Sinai. Hold on. We know that they're. And then this would not be the words here. This is the first verse then that I'm looking for. And then this. Some tempted God. I have to put the word some because the text is not telling us the group who did this. I can only tell you down here who they are. So to put that there, some tempted, and we know it's not a title god, it has to be YV, or YV, and I use his name this way because I know some of you are stuck here in the middle, but if I show you the reason why, it's under titles, sorry. Our creator's name is spelt this way from Strong, that we understand as the interpretation of English into Hebrew. If these are the two names that Strong's kind of gives us guidance to, you study the Hebrew language, the Y and the H on the end is sometimes silent, okay? There is no J, O, or W, so this word is farther away. So we have a real good understanding of this word right here. But if you just use these two letters in English and you pronounce them in Hebrew, you get very close to this word here. So I'm closer here than Strong was there. And that is why I use these two letters. Because I still don't trust the Hebrews telling me that how their two letters are pronounced to be able to say this is the way it's spelled. I think it's Yahvah. Yahvah. So they wouldn't have an H in here. So anyways, but without no O in their language, I wanted to let you know that the letter O, single letter, is put into the text that many times. So you can kick that word out of your Bible if you don't believe what I'm doing. You should be correcting your own and not being stupid about things here. They tempted YV. Perfect. When they became envious of Moses and Aaron, the holy ones, for YV. Not of YV, but for YV. Okay. And that's the story. Now, what do we have here? Where's this going to go? Where's this text going to go? They quickly forgot his work, and they did not wait for his counsel. This was Moses, and they started, and they carved it. Okay, so and if it's a 4 verse, and worshipped, not the molten image, but they, and worshipped that image. They made a gold calf. They made a, this is not true. I don't care what you're thinking right now. I know it's not true. But here I'm just going to grab this to see how to edit it when I bring it down here, because I might need, because that I know is not true. But so let's get them closer together here. They forgot, don't need the word quickly, they forgot his now if this would had to happen before the earth swallowed them. Maybe they didn't see the earth open up and swallow them. This group just got carried away and was the second group that our Creator. They did not believe, they didn't forget, they didn't believe his works. I'm going to say these are plagues. it has to be plagues. So this has to be plagues, because if I said they didn't believe his miracle of swallowing them and they forgot, no, this all happened so quickly. So they disbelieved his, okay, I'm going to put miracle here. His miracle. I think I got that spelled wrong. Disbelieve. And that way I don't need the word not believe. They disbelieved his miracle and did not wait. And this has to be for Moses. He was up on that hill for a while talking to our Creator. So they carved well, this is wrong. And this is all wrong. We already know they're in the desert. So they came together and carved. So they gathered to carve. To carve. And make a calf. Now I know that's what this text is saying. I'm not sure if they carved the image, because the story of throwing stuff into a fire and a calf came out of the fire, I don't believe that, because that would be, say I added this word and I'm adding this word. Now is the word carved correctly? I'm not using this word. So they gathered to carve an idol like a calf and worship that image. Okay. And I moved those three verses down, right? So I'm going to say move down and edit. Although this, I know that that's not, you just get rid of that now. And I don't need to copy it anymore. I just need to make an 8-point. But that text is right here. So move here to edit. And then this needs to be cleaned up, and okay, it's going to fit there. this color I'm going to make fuchsia. And then make this fuchsia. And then move it over to there. It's easier to find. And now it's kind of like, okay, they've got this text here. The earth opened and swallowed that guy and his company. Not one of them was left. Then they believed his words. All right. Now, let me take this group here and take it down. Oops, I want to make a mark for my next one here. No, this one's so long, it's going to take a long time to finish, but this one here, and now if I clean it up, you can see the hidden format that's being said here. Now these words left, there they are. They're the 4-verse grouping. So now this is the group they've done. So the first one is a comma, period, comma, period, comma, period. Those verses go together. Those verses go together. These two will go together. And then with the next set, these become a small paragraph. Now, to say that, because this is a separate story, it might have to continue. Then they tempted Wyvie. This would be the second story. So I'd have to add the word then here. Then, and I got to make this gray or black text. Because when I add it, I do this and make sure it's italic. Gray, I've completely added. Then some tempted Wyvie, when they became envious of Moses and Aaron, the holy ones for Wyvie. The earth opened and swallowed Danath and his company. Not one of them was left, and then they believed his words. They believed Moses' words. That's all of a sudden like, yeah, that's a wake-up call. Okay. And then now I have to use the word then. I got to use the word then again. But it is becoming a very accurate story of the events, of the order of things that happened. So that is the 4-verse. And if I bring it down a little bit, you can see I've got 2 here that are grouped together from the last cleaning up. He divided the sea, and the land dried up, and he led them through the deep, and the deep was like the wilderness. And I'm saying the wilderness here was the beginning as they're going down, and it's very description because light goes down so far that still has greenness that would have dried up. The wilderness means between the desert and then the greenery, this area starts having like sand around, small spots of grass with trees that have bark missing, and then some that have green leaves on it, and then it builds back up into greenery. So this wilderness-like look would have been down, and when they came out, but on the bottom, it would have been like a desert. So I'm using the word wilderness right now to have that understand. That's what it looked like as they come down. He saved them from the horsemen and from the king who hated them. This would mean the text is telling us that when the king got together, he sent the horsemen before his carriage. His carriage would have been slower than the horsemen. So the horsemen arrived first, and to keep them trapped in the corner at the Red Sea. And he delivered them, and I'm using capital letters to show that our Creator, these are his acts, or these are things done by him, or these are his words, such as a prophecy. For them, he delivered them from their enemy by the water covering them. That is a 2-verse group. So you got one paragraph becoming another paragraph, and the two become a very large paragraph. But here I've got a 3-verse group, not a 4-verse group. And then I've got a 4-verse group, and I got a 3-verse group. And I think I've got 2 4-verse groups here. So it is a little choppy, but never know how they're going to stack up. Maybe I just have a verse missing here in one of these to make it a 4-verse grouping. But I'm going to back up here and keep continuing. This is going to take probably until at least, I'd say, 4 more hours before I really get it, because they really got me confused. Because now it's going to be, they made the calf. Now they worship that image. Thus they exchanged their glory. Now, the glory that they're exchanging, that word is not really good enough for me. They're tossing away our Creator as the creator of everything that can swallow people up, open the ground and swallow them up. How do you get that as their glory? They exchanged. So the word glory has got to be wrong. They exchanged YV. And this, I gotta say, is gray. Hold on. I'm adding a word here. They worshipped that image. And exchanged and I've got to see if there's a better word than exchange. This is verse 20. If I click here, this is the Strong's Dictionary, or Strong's Words for the New American Standard Bible. This concordance tells us how many times they each used this word when it was there. And that's why they don't allow you to see that anymore. Because when I was doing this a long time ago, I had to notify them. And no, that was when I was in Michigan. New American Standard is in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Exchange. They changed. They didn't change him. They exchanged YV. They exchanged YV for the idol of an ox. For the idol of an ox that eats grass. And that we have a 4-verse, those two hooked together, these two hooked together. They didn't forget him. The land of Ham, no, that's wrong. Ham is supposedly the third or the second son of Abraham or of Noah, and that's not true. You got to remember, your Bible is corrupt. Let me show you a map of showing you the real truth here. Now, where is Joseph? Oh, before that. Okay. Noah had to land around here someplace. This is Lake Galilee. This is the Dead Lake, Salty Lake. The sons would have divided the land up as the firstborn, secondborn, thirdborn, as to divide the land up. The text is telling, because we know that Jacob went to Shem's to get or receive a wife from Abraham's people, which were Shem's, and when he crossed the rivers, Laban chased him. Okay, so this has to be the dividing line of the land for Shem, because you don't send a 13-year-old boy 700 miles away across two rivers that are wide enough that they have to have a bridge today that you could put 5 cars on a bridge before they could get across. The story doesn't make any sense when you start understanding how large the rivers are, how far it is, how young he was. So the thing here is when the rivers are right here, and Isaac lived here. So when he came back, Jacob came back, it was this area where he set his tent up, and Laban came down to here, and that's the story there. But Canaan's land, who they're saying is Ham, at Abraham's, they're calling it Canaan's land. And here, if you know that this is Abraham's descendants, or he's descended from Shem's, who Noah's blessing comes through Shem's, and then through Abraham, through Isaac, through Jacob. And then you understand that his third brother, because if we got this 2 orders, and this is later called the land of Canaan, the word Ham is just wrong. It's probably in the text 3 times, 4 times, but it's all wrong. They're calling Egypt the land of Ham. Why would the brothers have land on the other side of the Tigris River, 700 miles away, and then all of a sudden they own Egypt? Anyways, this is Wonders in Egypt, so we know that that's wrong. Now, to say they forgot, they didn't forget, they disbelieved. The plagues, which are these, whoops, I better bring them over here so you can see this. These are the plagues. And what it was is the way they came in order gives us an idea of when his passing over happened, and the first year of the nation of Israel was established, as our Creator announced to them before they left, as the first day of the year they were not to do any work except for prepare this meal, that he was going to go kill their firstborns on the next day, because our Creator, I guess the preparation day is not the first day, because our Creator established the day as when the sun is not seen anymore on the horizon, that twilight starts night and then daylight to make the first day, or the first day of the year, which was going to be holy. So that is the first day, and the first day is the holy day. And then now, what event can they remember this by? Well, if you look at the locusts, when the locusts came up, you got to remember that here the story in Exodus is going to start telling us that even the advisors are saying, look, king, all of Egypt has been destroyed. The hailstorms took down a lot of their animal or their fruit trees. Sores were on the Egyptians. The plague killed their livestock, not theirs. These insects come up, frogs come up. People were getting these warnings, but when locusts came up, in Exodus it says the sprouting green. So the sprouting green would have been their food source that they were worried about. And I would believe it's the wheat that they would have been worried about, because you can only get so many harvests out of wheat before wheat will not grow anymore. And it usually takes 40 days for it to grow, and then so they can harvest it. And always the first harvest is the greatest harvest. That would be in April. If you look up in harvesting Egypt today, they harvest wheat, the first one, in April. So if the locusts came and ate it up, now we know that there's April. And then maybe 6 weeks later, there was this darkness coming over. And then there has to be an event that they all knew that this was the day that they were always going to mark as the first day of the year. That would be the summer solstice. Okay, so the summer solstice is the first day of the year for the Hebrew calendar. Okay, that being said, I forgot where I was starting here. Oh, the wonders in the land of Egypt. Then they were leaving, so they had that knowledge, and you have an understanding that these events didn't happen 1, 2, 3, and all within like a month and a half. So that's why a lot of people didn't believe that the plagues were really caused by our Creator. Now, this here argument here, what did our Creator say about this? Was this the argument that he was going to kill all of them? I was thinking that was with the last group, this group here, that went against Moses and Aaron. Yeah, because not all of them did this. But I'm forgetting what happened to these guys. And to forget, that's what's going to happen the next thing here. Okay, it's saying he's going to stood in a breach. Okay, maybe I had the words wrong. That this is the time that our Creator told Moses that he was going to kill everyone and start over. So that means, where is the text that I know I've already done? Here. Unlike some of our forefathers, they rejected and rebelled, and they did not believe your plagues, or his plagues. Here, he did not kill them for the sake of his name. This verse here, that 3 verse I was telling you about, looks like it's going to now come down here with this text. How? I don't know yet, but I know it's going to it goes with these here. Now, that story that I was telling you before is definitely right here now, and it's there. So they didn't forget God, the title God. Um, we have a name for our Creator, not a title. And their Savior. Now they wouldn't know that until or until David's time, when in Psalms 110, that through David's son will have a son that will have a kingdom in heaven. Those words alone are the only words that says why people are going into heaven. So you can't have the word Savior at that time, saving them. Otherwise than that, all the souls, after people's body dies, their soul goes into the abyss. Some of you might know it as Sheol, Sheol abyss. When I took all the verses together, the word Sheol pretty much kind of like a city of a meeting where they gather, instead of just an abyss that is so great. Abyss describes the place exactly. That is a place of deep, dark emptiness that our Creator. Oh, wait a second. I think I even have that text. Oh, I know I've got that text. Let me see here. This is what, Psalm 88, and in it, when I cleaned it all up, here's talking about this king here, talking about, to the abyss I will be sent, to be among those who went down into the ground. I will be like a man, male and female, to be among the dead, like those who lie in the grave. Then you place me in the below heaven. I used the word heaven. They said the below deepest, in the darkest depths. And then he says, "And your kindness will your kindness be declared? Will your salvation be known in the abyss?" So this is how they seen it. Your body died, you laid in the grave, and then your soul went down into below the ground into the deepest darkness. But this is how they would have wrote it, that when it came through that format in that psalm. So the word Savior, all that for the word Savior. Okay, that's gone. They forgot this has to be gone, who had done great things in Egypt. Well, this doesn't really say that. These would have been plagues. Wonders is always plagues. So let me start filling in the words that I know need correcting. They're pretty easy to correct. Plagues. Great things. See, now this great things, this would also mean the plagues. So they're double saying it. And again, the word would have to be they didn't believe. And then the awesome thing, this awesome thing is a miracle. Now I'm going to keep hitting this instead of that one. It was a miracle that he parted the Red Sea. Miracle by the sea. It wasn't by the sea. The miracle of anyways, the miracle of the sea. because maybe it's by the sea. Maybe that's how they write it, and I'm just trying to make it by the sea. And this would be just Egypt's plagues. I want to say, because I think in this would actually have to have the words switched around. The plagues in Egypt. I guess I'll do that. I'll do it that way. Maybe that word does go up there, but change the land to Egypt. And that's more correct than that word. And this would have to be his plagues. So let me just grab this word and put it here, and put it here, and then his, and go over here and say I'm adding his plagues in Egypt. And his miracle by the sea. Then I can't use this one. Again, it has to, from forgot, it has to be disbelieve. Disbelieved. They disbelieved. They disbelieved. This has to be YV here. And I'm adding that, getting rid of the title God. And the title God is EL in the Hebrew text. But when you study all those L words, you will find that there's something fishy going on with that word. And let me show you what I mean. Here, I'm just going to blow it up a little bit, because here's the examples of the word El in the Hebrew text meaning God, and then El meaning the word those, and then down here, El meaning these words. But there's so many that I had to put them up here. Also, Strong started with a 12th, and then he got rid of the number 12 and combined them somewhere. But the word El means these and those only 8 times. And that's what's so dangerous about this New American Concordance, of showing you how these are the words that they use. Because when people tell you El means God, well, they only used it 204 times as a capital G, maybe one more time here, and then not. But look at all these words here that are meant. So is 405 times here. I think that's how it's going to be said. I don't see that total in these numbers, so I don't know why they have 415. Maybe they're combining them all. But the object is that that's the corruption in the text on the word El. So if they ever tell you El means God, you can tell them, no, I've seen the proof. That's not true. And that is also one reason why the New American Standard pulled that off the market, and pulled this program. This program does no longer exist. I have it running on a virtual machine, but it only runs on the last OS system was XP that it actually runs on, because I think it's a 8-bit although the first one was started 8-bit. I think this is the second version of their program, because I think this they issued in 1995. It's been so long ago. Because the first one was on discs, and then that one come on a CD. And then I let people copy it so many times that the CD got bad. Somebody scratched it. But the object here is I've still got it to show everybody. Now, they disbelieved Wivey. Now, the word who can probably be changed into the word what, because when I show you this word, let's see, this is 21. Who? Oh, it doesn't even exist. Okay. And this is the word L here, used here. But a lot of times the word who can be used as the word what, whatever, whoever, many different words for it used. So let me get back here. Don't need that then. They disbelieved the great things. What are the great things here? If I go over here, okay, they use 2 Hebrew words for this. And usually when they do that, they'll do something like this and make it like this. I always try to figure out which is the one word that they use the most, like great. And then I would say the greatest, or the greatest great, when I use the 2 words. Or that's how I try to put back the meaning of what's being expressed here. Okay, now if it means great, that would have been, there was many frogs, there was many insects. They got many of things. I think that's, oh boy, that's yes, because then they would have, then the plagues, let me see here, let me bring this back up. The water changed, and that wasn't it, but there was many frogs, there were many flies, many insects, there are many sores. And then they would have thought, well, this would have been many locusts. And so this would have to be, but they were his plagues in Egypt, okay? So now they disbelieved Wivey had done those great multitudes. Let's see if the word multitude is here. Is it here? Is it here? Mainly large, mighty, noble, prominent. The exceedingly great. I want to say the word great many here. He had done, and I'm not going to use the word those, I'm going to use the word the great many's. I guess that's about the best I can do it to explain those. That's close. I'll probably come up with something later, but that's that they disbelieved Wivey had done the great many's. Great many's of his plagues in Egypt. The great many's that we're starting to hear rain. Dang. If I'm off the air, it's because the power down here does go out all the time. It flickers only for a second, but it takes me so long to get back online, and it's just disappointing. But I can hear it raining here now. So, but I've also done it in the rain, and it makes it through. So that they were his plagues, and this would have to be our craters. So this is going to be loud here. And if I start speaking loud, it's because I'm thinking you can hear the rain, and you're not supposed to be able to hear it through my voice. Let me see when I just stop talking. Yeah, it remains silent. So the NVIDIA's noise reducer really works good. Now I can say that this is a 4-verse group. So I can say, comma, period. The great minis, IES. I'll try to say the great minis. Oh, man. Was nor. I'm going to have to put the word nor, and what I'm doing with that word is trying to sell it as it was a different god. It was this ox god that did this. Okay? That were his plagues in Egypt, nor his miracles by the sea. They dismissed it. Maybe it's a Y. Great many. They won't let me make up a word here. The great many. Okay. But that cleans up. And now I got 2 more together. Okay. It asked me then. Then he said he would not destroy them, but kill them. Would kill them. And it's a polite way of saying all of them. Okay, he's going to kill all of them. And this is our creator saying this, so adding that, and that, and then I can say this is going to be a comma, but I need this word as his word being said. Then he said he would kill them had not Moses, don't need these words, had not Moses stood it's not a breach. It wasn't a hole in the wall. It doesn't mean that. That's usually what a breach is, and then the enemy can come through the wall. So stood up for them. No, he stood up. I'm pretty sure Moses was telling them that, look, you brought them out here, and the Egyptians are going to say you took them out here to kill them all. And that would degrade your name as believing you as the creator of everything. So Had not Moses turned, here it is, turned. This is out. Turned away his wrath from killing them. Okay? Not destroying them, killing them. Okay, now that is the truth of what happened. I just didn't read. I had to start thinking first. Oh, well. Sometimes at least I know the story. So, anyway, let's see now. They despised the pleasant land and did not believe his word. Okay. Now this story is when he sent spies, but they were out of the Sinai heading to the promised land. So it wasn't the pleasant land. It was, because who was that? One of Simon's, maybe it was Simon, that when they went and spied it out, and they come back and told him, and then they told him about all the people that they were there, and they weren't that large of an army of men, so they would have said, there's too many of them there, we don't need to go there. And then he stood up and said, no, if our Creator's going to tell us, he's going to do just like what he did back there we've seen, and he's going to give it to us. So this has to be the promised land at the time of the spies. So, and this promised land starts with Abraham. Okay. And then it was told to Isaac, and then it was told to Jacob before he went in to receive his wife, and then before he went into Israel into Egypt to be with his son Joseph, our Creator again spake to him and promised him that their descendants are going to receive that land. So once you understand our Creator's promises, you understand everything that you need to know, or why you're actually going to heaven, who Jesus is. And you have to use the Hebrew text with the Greek text, and they're all one. There's no Old and New Testament. That just don't mean nothing. That's just, then they despised the promised land. Okay, now that's when, like I said, the spies were there and did not believe his words. They did not believe. They despised the promised land. I have to put and here, don't need the word they. And did not believe not his words, but his prophecy. And I'm hoping it's spelled with an S. I'm not sure the difference between the CY or the SY. I think it's the CY is a past tense, and this is forward tense of it not happening yet type of thing. So if I'm wrong, put it in the comment section so I can learn too, because I forgot already. And did not believe his prophecy. I'm just looking to see if the text is down here farther, and no, it is not. But they grumbled to Moses. This is out. But they did not believe his prophecy. So but then again, I could add a verse that I know, and I could make it all mine. And they did not believe his prophecy. I think they wanted to return to Egypt. That's what I'm going to put down, and wanted to, well, this is not right. I got to start it off with text like this. How do I do this? They did not believe in his prophecy, and did not want to enter it. Promised land just got reduced to the word yet. So probably think of better words later, but that's what's going on here. But that's separate from what's up here. Okay, now should I do these? Yeah, I guess I should clean it up just to show people that are popping up in the middle of this. What I'm doing is looking for the hidden formats, and you can see I've already found quite a few. And you can see here's a 3 verse, and then there's a 4 verse. Then there's the 3 verse and the 3 verse. But then it's all 4 verse here for quite a while. And when I take the text like this and I clean it up, you can see it appear a lot easier. Oops, I think it was to here. So here and here. And then you can start seeing and reading the hidden format by the first writer with a comma, period, meaning one sentence. This becomes a small paragraph. Then if there's another like paragraph, these two become a larger paragraph. And that's the pattern that shows up when this is done. For a perfect example of this text, to say that it's like that, where is it? Right here. This here. This is Psalm 8 that I done. And when you clean it up, it looks like this. And this is a 3 verse format. This first verse is a statement. Then these two connect together, become a small paragraph. And it repeats, 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 repeats. But these two become a larger paragraph. Then these two become a larger paragraph. And these two become a larger paragraph. This is the hidden formats the first writers wrote in. And there has not been on this earth anyone else who writes this style ever. And it is beautiful when you see it, because it's very powerful having small little words putting in when you really know all the stories, and one word can mean so much. So, and I honor and respect our Creator by making all capital letters in purple his words, and Jesus in red. But that's what I'm looking for here. So as I do these, I know I'm muttering a lot, but usually these aren't that long. I'm usually done within an hour and a half. And I try to go through and explain everything in great detail. And I'm hoping you're understanding that when you're listening, that my mind wanders on a first verse and I get lost before I get to the second one. And sometimes it connects, and then, like the scene like above, I go down and look for it, and there's the other story that I'm talking about down here in the text. So they grumbled and did not listen to the voice of Wyvie. Therefore he swore to them they'd cast them down in the wilderness. Now that doesn't go with this one here, but that goes with this text, that he would kill them. And it wasn't in this wilderness. When they didn't believe this, okay, and these were the commanders, then the commanders for the tribes, when they're spies, that they actually selected the men that they wanted to go as spies, came back, then they despised the promised land and did not believe his prophecy, and they did not want to enter it. And they're telling about the foods that they found, how rich the land is, flowing like milk and honey, that it's just too much food for everybody. It just walk over the tree and you can eat. You don't have to plant the ground, grow anything. It's just there. Very plentiful. But when they grumbled about this, our Creator told them that there was one of them that told, no, you better believe in our Creator. And then when Moses went and talked to our Creator, he said, those that don't disagree with me, as we go into the promised land, they'll never make it in the promised land. I'm going to kill them off when they're in battle. Okay, so that's when it says he swore to Moses he would cast them down. This is what this is saying, but not saying. Okay, that's what I'm going to find, or that's what I'm going to try to make these verses state, because so they grumbled in their tents, and I think I went and added that word, so my memory's pretty good, so I'm pretty sure that's what I done. So, and so they grumbled in their tents. And did not listen to Moses. Moses has to be added here, because it was Moses that they argued with. Then Moses went and talked. So I'm adding that, getting rid of this, taking his name, putting it here, and then Wyvie swore to Moses, him, period, swore to him he would no, not that he would, he swore to him that they will They won't even see the promised land. So this I'm adding, this I'm adding, this I'm adding, but these are all our Creator's words, so I gotta better do this and then do that. Get rid of those words. He would not cast, but strike, that they will be struck down. Struck down. And let me show you LB. Let me show you how they do this here again in 25. They not believe his words, they crumble in his voice. Is cast. See how these are two Hebrew words together? And then what I'm looking for, see how it says fall down so many times, but when I get to the S's, what do the S's say? And it's not there. But to fall down would be or killed, but it's only used once. That's what our Creator told them. I'm pretty sure that I'm correct, that they will be, but the word cast down is meaning struck down here, not just he will have them struck down is what that they will be struck down. Okay, and then I don't need these words here. I should find them in the next one, but that's not there. He cast their seed among the nations, scattered them in the land. No, this word here goes with the promise, the 12 commandments. So when you look at the 12 commandments that you can find in Exodus 1 through 17, and there they are, all 12 of them, this was the agreement that our Creator made with them. And later, not in that specific text, he said he would cast their descendants among the kingdoms and scatter them in their lands. And that's why they were sent into captivity, because they joined themselves and ate sacrifices and offered to the dead. Now, you have to understand these words that Malachi 2:11. This was Judah, the nation. They had married the daughter of a foreign god. Now, the daughter is the moon goddess, the moon goddess, the queen of heaven is the moon goddess. And they go on and tell you that their forefathers, their kings, and their leaders, most likely priests, were all on to this female goddess that they had married. And the foreign god is the sun god Ra. Now, you're thinking, okay, yeah, I'm making things up, but did you know that in 1611 that they actually wrote in the preface, they wrote and highlighted the sun god here and gave him a capital letter S as sun god. See that? This is their words, and they say Gregory is the divine. So if you think the guys that were editing the text are truthful, they know Gregory is the divine, okay? They made Jesus to be the divine. He's not divine. That's calling our Creator a liar for a lot of years, that he kept telling them since Abraham's time that there will be a king
that will bless all nations on earth, or all races on earth. And here's what's unique about this, that it was the first Roman emperor that he corrected the calendar and the order of the year according to the course of the sun god Ra. So what's behind this? This means that when Nebuchadnezzar got done eating grass, he made the Hebrew calendar the calendar for all of Babylon up until this Roman emperor come in and took over. So our Creator, summer solstice was his first day of the first year, and it was changed after Roman Empire got together. So it was probably 200 years, 300, 200 years that way, because our Creator made himself known. So, by the way, they tell you about 4 different ways of how to edit the text. And they tell you here in number 3, by the light and feeling that we attain unto ourselves is how they corrected the text that you see and have as the English translation of the Bible. So when it says they adjoin themselves also to this God here, that's not right. It was to Ra, the sun god. So Ra is the correct answer here. And they ate sacrifices. Now, here's the difference between the sacrifice and an offering, because they've got offered to the God or to the dead. But the thing here is our Creator, if you did not obey any of the 12 commandments, he said you are to atone for this by bringing a sin offering. Therefore, there is only 12 sins because our Creator defined them as needing a sin offering. So there's no sin before the Sinai, okay? But let's take the ram, for example. They were the head of the family would take a ram, an important food source to them, and he would go to his priest. Now, understand this. How would you know what priest to go to? Okay? Well, you have to understand that in the Sinai, our Creator had them camp by birth order of their family, of the sons. And 3 would be in the south, 3 on the east or west, I'm not sure, right off the top of my head, and then the 3 in the north side. Now, that way they knew which priest and where he sat along the wall, okay, around the tent for meeting or around the house for meeting with our Creator. They were to kill the animal, sacrifice the animal, remove the hide, take the muscles. The muscles are the action of the sin. Put it on a plate. This would hold the plate. The priest would now take those offerings, or this muscles offerings, and put that on the hooks that were on the stands that were on top of the altar, and then put fire on it and burned it up quickly. So they weren't solid muscles. They would have been chopped up smaller, but the object is that the muscles were to burn up, and the leader of the family, the father of the family on the outside, seen smoke go up, and then the smoke disappeared, which represented the forgiveness of the sin, not remembering of the action of the sin. Then they would go in, they would bow to the light of his presence, that he was above the mercy seat as a light. Okay, he just made himself known as a light above the mercy seat. And then he would tell them whether they were atoned and they were forgiven, or they could return. So that's the difference when you understand the way pagans sacrificed and the correct sacrifice that our Creator was asking about to atone for sinning or not obeying one of the 12 commandments. Now, again, when we look at the 12 commandments, right off the bat, no other creator before me. Number one, okay? You shall not make an idol or likeness of me. They made an idol and likeness of another god. So, when it comes down to they ate and sacrificed their offering to the dead, because their sacrifice they ate, okay? They ate Ra and ate the sacrificed D, get rid of the S, the sacrificed offering. And that's how they done this. Here. Oops, too many keys. When I get a line like that, that's the tracking has started, and I hate that. No marking. Accept. Accept and stop tracking. Okay. So they ate and sacrificed their offering. So, and it wasn't to the dead. You can see that that is not the way the text shows. They joined themselves to Ra. They joined themselves. They, I guess joined themselves to Ra. They become his and sacrificed their offering. Okay, now that is a 3 verse, and I'm not seeing 4 verse. Because this 3 verse I explained to you already that he would not cast send away is send. He would send away it would be 2 words, so I gotta have this as my word. That he would send away. Just I got a phone call. Hello? Hello?
Mike?
Yep.
Okay, it's raining.
Okay, sorry about that. Down here in Florida, there was a hurricane, and my folks finally got their lanai put together in their carport. Now they got a severe leak after the guy went up and patched the leak, supposedly. Anyways, I wanted him to take a picture, so that's what's going on there. Sorry about that. That he would send away their descendants to be among now this is telling me that I've got this word right and this here, that he would send away their descendants and I added this word. No, I didn't. Their seed, let me see, to be among, to be captives. Among means captives. Means captives. And that's within the shadow of the word, so I'll leave it as that, unless I needed it. And these, they're nations, they're kingdoms. And I've used the word kingdoms as like Egypt, Babylon, and having maybe areas or provinces, they call it. But nations is reserved for Israelis only because they were tribes put together and because they were acted like independent before they become one. They had their own court system. Each one of them had their own court system. And that isn't true in the other land, in other places. So this gets down. Captives. Their descendants to be captives in other kingdoms. I have to put the word other there. And that I have to add. And then this becomes a comma, period, to scatter them from our land. If I put a capital L here, I've got all these as tribe lands, meaning from our lands. Okay. Now that that's true, it would be for them joining themselves. But this is more or less the 12 commandment time. This is a different. If I put a comma here, put a period here, and put a comma here, can I join provoking provoking I'm going to have to say his anger, provoking his wrath, and then that becomes a period. Now this is made up. This is not true as much as I remember. So I guess I should check that, I guess. Let me go. That was 001. This is our creator's hidden formats. And I trust his formats more than I do my memory. This was, okay, it was Korah, Danath, and Abram. Yeah, so that story is not in our creator's hidden formats. So that's why that is out. And that's the story about some guy picking up a sword and going killing somebody to stop his wrath from spreading among them. So that's just crap. And reckoned it for him for righteousness. I just got done telling you about what that was about. To all generations forever. That's out. This is out. That's made up. And he spoke harshly with his lips. Who was that? They did rebellious against his spirit. He spoke rashly with his lips. They did not destroy the people as why he commanded. Now this is not in the promised land. This is talking about Amalek, Saul, when he was sent by our creator as king to go kill off Amalek's all humans, male, female, babies, children, everyone, and the animals. And Saul brought back the animals, and that's what our creator said, you didn't listen to me. They did not destroy, Saul did not destroy the peoples as he commanded. So I know he made an agreement with some of them and told them to leave among them. So that's what did not destroy all the people. But that is that's Saul's time. That isn't. I'm just thinking, is this story continuing to where they need to put that in there? Because here, they returned to Jerusalem from captivity. So is this someone writing everything that was important from the time he brought them out? And now I've got a problem because I'm not seeing anything about Assyria or Babylon in the text. And without that, I can't really edit the text to put all that in. That would be making it mine. And I don't see that. But this is about Saul's time. And they mingled with nations and learned their practices. This would have been like the downfall of East Manasseh. And that would have been when Manasseh was taken away, because the practice is they were meditating to have a sex with the so-called female goddess. And served their eyes and became a snare to the demons. This would have been out anyway. That's been added later, because you can see somebody knows the 4-verse format. Somebody knows this. They did not kill the people as Wyvie commanded him, not them, him. Saul would have been here. And this here is not really true that they mingled with nation. This would have been after Saul's time. Let me show you a king's timeline that our Creator has given us. And this king's timeline is way too accurate. I only had to change one number in any of these. And this does not represent 38 years and this 35. It's these events happened within his span. And I'm guessing for these to be about that much within this much. But this is where he lost East Manasseh. Okay. And that would have been, and then you have Assyria coming down here, taking it the first time. They returned and took these the second time. But the accuracy of these kings on both sides, I got less than, probably plus or minus 2 years. So that's a long time, over 400 years as kings. They mingled with nations and learned their practices and served their idols, which came a snare to them. They sacrificed their sons and daughters. Well, they didn't really sacrifice their sons and daughters. That's just a lie. But this is a group that would have been truth. And this would not have been true. Canaans were killed off or gone from the land. So that happened after the promise. They got into the promised land. The land was polluted with blood. That's not the truth there. They become unclean practice and played the harlot in their deeds. This was meditating practice. Anybody who has studied mythology, in which is an American thing that you have to study as a prerequisite when you go into college, and that's, as far as I know, it hasn't changed, but you learn that Athena, the goddess, sprang forth from Zeus's forehead, which means she appeared in his mind to Zeus. That's what that means. And that one-eyed Cyclops, now you know who that is, what that is. Anyways, because that monster is hard to control. I'm going to say that that's out because that's not making sense. And that, I'm not seeing anything here that says that Babylon or even Assyria come down, and so I can't make this text my own. There's a lot of things being true here, but we have this in other places. And this here, all of a sudden, the enemy was actually their own people turning against our Creator. And see, this would be talking about the return from Babylon and Egypt and everything else. First, they come from Egypt or from Babylon, sent down by a king. And no, none of the stories of Esther are true. So the thing here is Daniel was sent to reestablish the house for our Creator. And that's what this is talking about, presence of all our cap. But the only thing is that doesn't actually say that they returned. I know what the text is meaning from time to time, but there's not enough here. And then it was to give thanks to our Creator and call on His name. That's the directive that they were given. And this needs to be out. Okay. I can't make the text mine, and so this here will also be out. But to grab this text, and in it, there are words here that are giving us more detail, but they aren't going to replace our Creator's hidden formats. But for a greater understanding of His, what He has in His hidden formats, we can now have extra words that we can say that this was written, but it was destroyed, and that type of thing, to say that the first writer's writings have been proved that they're there. And this is what Mike came up with. And so, but they're only conversations to have as those that are really trying to think of everything. And it also is going to allow me to edit some of the text that are in our Creator's hidden formats. Just to let you know that I will try to put some of these words that I believe are very true there. Now comes the hard part. Now that they're all cleaned up, there's stuff that is going to be out of order. And what I'm going to do is I need something like a line break. Boy, 2 attempts when I'm trying to say this. And then I'm going to give it a color. And let me give it blue. No. Let me give the text blue. And this no color. And I hate that. Stop highlighting. No color. Blue. Finally got that. Okay. I'm just going to grab this. And I'm going to say this group. And give thanks to Yahweh, for his kindness is everlasting. And we are to praise Yah and speak of his mightiness for us. Listen, everyone. The keepers of his commandments do righteousness at all times. And then I have to put that as a group here to say that those two could probably go together. Then this is a 3 verse. Because it doesn't connect with that. Visit, to visit. This would be Jesus they're talking about. But this is definitely chopping up here. And I'm going to have to move all these texts later, like the last one, and say I'm done for right now, because, and I will be back online here probably within an hour. I'll eat, then come back and I'll start the next format, or next psalm. Because see, this all of a sudden then becomes a different story from this one. Yet this is 3 verse, this is 4 verse. Covered up the water, and then they become envious. That most likely is in order. But yeah, there's 2 here, then 1, and then those 2 go together. Now I know that there's more in here between here. So this has to be a grouped up and grouped down. This 4 verse, 4 verse. 4 verse, those 2 grouped together. So this has to be 2 verse here because those 2 grouped together, those 2 grouped together. And then, yep, then it's the promised land here, the spies going into the promised land. And then this is going to connect to that. But this goes back to the 12 commandments time when he made the agreement with them. And then this almost looks like it goes with the text above somehow when they made the calf. And then that's the end of the text that I've got. So all I've got is I can probably move a few of them around to group them better and put them in order. But the only time that this is really going to be helpful is when I try to put them all together from all the pieces of Psalms. And I'm going to do that at some time. when I get done with the Psalms. It's going to take a long time to do that, but to put them in groups, I'm trying to give them titles right now as to what the king said, or who the king, I believe, said it at what time. That'll help organize a lot of it. So, but here, that's just wasting everybody's time. It's going to take quite a while to do that. So with that, I'm going to call it, well, let me show you David's here Psalm. These are David's words from David that if you take a screenshot now, you can see the writing style is particular to David because he talks more about being in battle in his text. And I think the last one is about his last battle that he fought, which is unique because then we can pinpoint that battle or that text relating to that battle. And that's before he dies. So it's probably 5 years before he dies. But other than that, I'm going to call it in for the day. Thanks for watching.